She laughs at your jokes, she texts you first, she stares into your eyes like you're the only guy in the room. Everything's flowing, chemistry, connection, and attention. Then out of nowhere, she pulls back. Less texting, less excitement. Suddenly she's busy, tired, or just not showing up like she used to. It leaves you thinking, what did I do wrong? You didn't argue, you didn't get needy, you didn't push too hard. So what the hell happened? Here's the uncomfortable truth. A woman can genuinely like you and still pull away. It's not always about something you did. Sometimes it's about something you didn't see coming. Welcome to the complex reality of female psychology. This video is for every man who's been blindsided by the sudden cold shoulder, ghosting, or slow fade from a woman who showed real signs of interest. And no, it's not always because she found someone else, or you weren't alpha enough. The reasons run deeper, and if you don't understand them, you'll keep repeating the cycle. Things go great, she pulls away, and you're left confused. But once you know what's really happening under the surface, why women withdraw even when they like a man, you start to move differently. You stop reacting emotionally, you stop chasing, you start holding your frame, and most importantly, you become the kind of man who knows what to do next, instead of spiraling into self-doubt. So if you've ever had a woman show interest, then suddenly act distant or detached, this video is for you. Let's break it all down and give you the insight most men will never figure out. 1. Her emotions changed, and that's normal. Let's start with the most misunderstood truth in dating. A woman's emotions are fluid, not fixed. What she felt yesterday might not be what she feels today. Not because she's playing games, not because she's trying to manipulate you, but because that's how she's wired emotionally. You might have had a great date. You texted for hours. The chemistry was real. Then, days later, she pulls back. Suddenly, her texts are shorter. Her energy feels cold. You start second-guessing everything. Did I say something wrong? Did I move too fast? Is she seeing someone else? Pause. Before you go into detective mode, understand this. Women don't operate in straight emotional lines the way most men do. A guy can feel good about a woman, and that feeling stays steady unless something dramatic happens. For a woman, emotions move in waves based on her mood, hormones, stress level, conversations with friends, and even how she feels about herself that day. That doesn't mean her interest wasn't real. It just means her internal world shifted, and most men don't know how to handle that. The mistake most guys make. They panic when the emotional energy changes. They text more. They ask if something's wrong. They try to fix the shift by doing more attention, more compliments, more effort. And what does that do? It kills the attraction even more. Why? Because the second she senses you're emotionally dependent on her validation, she sees it as weakness. Instead, what should you do? Stay grounded. Don't match her emotional wave. If she pulls back, give her space without pulling your own energy away in fear or frustration. Keep your frame. Let her feel the contrast between her emotional shift and your emotional stability. That's what separates you from every other guy she's dated. Most men react. The man who stays calm, he becomes magnetic. Also, understand this. Women sometimes pull away simply to recalibrate, especially if they started to feel too much too fast. That wave of excitement can overwhelm her if she's not used to it. Her pulling back doesn't always mean I'm done. It can mean I need space to process what I'm feeling. So here's the rule. Don't assume the worst. Don't chase. Don't demand answers. Let her emotional weather change and stay consistent in yours. You're not here to ride her wave. You're here to be the shore. 2. She's testing your emotional strength. Here's something most men never realize. When a woman pulls away, she's often not doing it consciously, but it still acts as a test of your patience, your self-control, and your emotional strength. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about manipulation. Most women don't sit there thinking, let me test this guy. But emotionally, women are wired to seek security and strength in a man. And one of the ways they find out if you're actually solid or just faking confidence is by seeing how you react when things don't go your way. When she starts pulling back, texting less, seeming distant, changing her energy, it triggers something in most guys, fear, insecurity, scarcity. That oh moment where they feel things slipping and then they try to grab hold of the connection. They text more. They ask if she's okay. They start over-explaining, seeking reassurance, and trying to force closeness again. That's exactly what breaks attraction. You don't fail her test by her pulling away. You fail it by chasing after her emotionally, because that shows you're not the strong, grounded man she thought you were. It shows you're reactive and dependent. Women feel most drawn to a man who remains unshaken in moments like this. The guy who doesn't need constant validation to feel secure. The guy who can let her take space without acting like it's the end of the world. That kind of man feels like safety to her nervous system, and that safety leads to trust, which leads to deeper connection. This emotional test often comes right when things start getting good. Why? Because attraction builds, emotions rise, and then suddenly her subconscious goes, wait, can I actually trust this guy? So she pulls back, not to play games, but to feel things out, to see if you'll hold your frame or collapse under the pressure. What does holding frame look like in this moment? You don't blow up her phone. You don't ask her to explain herself. You don't change your tone and become cold or needy. You stay focused on your life, your mission, and your peace. And when she comes back around, you respond with calm confidence, not guilt-tripping, not punishing, just steady presence. Because here's the truth. If a woman senses that her emotional distance shakes your foundation, she will pull away more. Not because she's cruel, but because she realizes she can't relax into your strength. So remember, when she pulls back, it's not always a red flag. It might just be a moment for you to prove who you really are. 3. You got too comfortable, too fast. One of the biggest mistakes men make in dating is confusing early comfort with long-term connection. You meet a woman, things are going well, and it feels easy. You're vibing, laughing, texting all day, maybe even hooking up. So you settle in. You start acting like it's already locked in. And that's exactly when she starts to pull away. Why? Because you got too comfortable, too fast, and it shifted the dynamic in a way that killed the tension, the mystery, and the masculine edge she was attracted to in the first place. See, early on, women are drawn to a man's energy in motion, his ambition, his calm leadership, his unpredictability, his presence. But what often happens is once a guy feels like things are going well, he changes. He stops leading. He stops being intentional. He starts leaning into comfort, and slowly the fire that built attraction turns into warm, soft familiarity. Now here's the harsh truth. Comfort isn't attractive in the beginning. It's earned later after the polarity is established. But if you bring that relationship energy too early, without her earning it, she starts to feel like she already knows everything about you. She stops wondering what's next, and attraction fades. You may think you're doing everything right. You're consistent, you're responsive, you're available. But that's the problem. You became too predictable. You stopped making her feel anything new. There's no challenge, no emotional contrast, no feeling that she's still getting to know you. This doesn't mean you need to play games or pull away on purpose. It just means you need to maintain the edge that made you attractive in the first place. Keep your routines, keep your mission, keep your boundaries. Just because you like her doesn't mean you drop everything to orbit around her. That's when comfort turns into clinginess, and women feel it. Another thing, when you start oversharing too soon, revealing your whole emotional life before she's earned your trust, she may feel emotionally overwhelmed or smothered. Again, not because she doesn't care, but because the emotional pacing is off. You're moving faster than she is, and that creates imbalance. Instead, pace the connection. Let it unfold. Let her earn deeper layers of you over time. That keeps her curious. It keeps the polarity strong. And it keeps you from slipping into a role that feels more like a best friend or emotional support pillow than a man she's drawn to. So if she started to pull away, ask yourself, did you shift from masculine leadership to emotional codependence? Did you stop living your own life and start living for the relationship? Comfort is great when it's earned, but bring it in too early, and you risk losing the very spark that got her attention in the first place. 4. You triggered her fear of losing independence. You might think things are going great. She's laughing more, opening up, getting close. Then out of nowhere, she starts to pull back. You didn't change your tone. You didn't break rapport. But something shifted in her. And one of the biggest reasons behind this shift that men often overlook is this. She started to feel like she was losing her independence. Here's the truth. Modern women, especially the emotionally intelligent, self-aware ones, value freedom. They're not sitting around waiting for a man to complete them. They've built lives, habits, routines, and identities around being self-sufficient. And when they start catching real feelings for a guy, part of them loves it. But another part gets scared. Why? Because real emotional attachment means giving up a little control. And giving up control feels risky. A woman can like you deeply and still back away if she feels like the relationship is moving too fast, or worse, that she's starting to revolve around you. When a woman starts questioning whether she's slipping into someone else's world and losing her own, that fear will often show up as distance. Not because you did something wrong, but because she's trying to protect the autonomy she worked hard to build. Most men misread this. They assume she's losing interest, so they try to pull her closer. They send more texts, plan more dates, try harder to fix the shift. But that just confirms what she was already afraid of. She's losing space. She's becoming absorbed into the relationship. And that pressure triggers a withdrawal reflex. So what do? You give her space, not as a punishment or strategy, but as a show of strength. You let her breathe. You stay grounded in your own identity, your mission, your goals, your friends, your structure. You show her that your world isn't becoming all about her. That's what reassures her. That's what calms her anxiety. That's what keeps the balance. The irony is, when she feels like she can be fully herself around you, free, independent, emotionally safe, that's when she opens up more. That's when she trusts deeper. But if she feels like she's being emotionally swallowed up, even by a guy she likes, she'll distance herself to stay in control. This is why maintaining your masculine frame matters. Not to dominate, but to provide structure. When you lead from a place of strength, you allow her to stay feminine without feeling like she's disappearing. She doesn't have to fight for independence because you're not trying to take it from her. So if she pulls back, ask yourself, have I become her world, or do I still have my own? 5. She's subconsciously sensing neediness. Neediness isn't always loud. It's not always desperate texts, long emotional paragraphs, or begging for her time. Sometimes it's subtle, quiet. It leaks out in tone, body language, the way you wait for her replies, like your mood depends on them. And here's what you need to understand. Women are wired to feel neediness even when you never say a word. You might think you're playing it cool. You're not chasing. You're not texting too much. But if your emotional state is still revolving around whether she's paying attention to you or not, she'll feel it. And once she does, the energy shifts. She starts pulling away. Why? Because deep down, neediness signals weakness. It tells her that you're not self-sufficient, that you're looking to her for validation, comfort, or emotional grounding, and that's not what the feminine is drawn to. She may have been interested, she may have felt attracted. But once she starts sensing that your internal world depends on her actions, that attraction starts to fade. Here's how neediness often shows up in subtle ways. You check your phone constantly, hoping she texted back. You reread your last message wondering if it came off wrong. You hold back saying what you really think because you're afraid of rocking the boat. You adjust your entire day around when she's available. You go along with things you don't like, just to keep her happy. None of that may look dramatic from the outside, but it gives off a quiet message. I need your attention to feel okay. And women feel that. On the flip side, high-value men operate differently. They enjoy the connection. They pursue with intention, but their core doesn't need her. Their self-esteem, purpose, and peace were built before she came into the picture. That energy is calm, centered, attractive. One of the most powerful shifts you can make as a man is this. Stop trying to be liked, start being grounded. You don't need to impress her. You don't need to manage her emotions. You don't need to overanalyze every interaction. You need to show up as a man who's already enough whether she engages or not. This also means you're willing to walk away if the vibe isn't right. Not in anger, but in quiet confidence. Because a man who's not desperate to hold on is the man she wants to hold on to. If you've ever felt confused by a woman suddenly pulling away, check your energy. Ask yourself, am I still solid when she's distant? Or am I shrinking, hoping she comes back? She may not be able to explain it, but trust this. She knows when you're needing something from her that you should be getting from within yourself. 6. The spark died. Because the mystery did. Let's be real, women don't just fall for you because you're nice, consistent, or available. That's basic. What keeps them thinking about you, daydreaming about you, craving more of you, is mystery. The sense that there's more to discover. That you're not fully figured out. That every time she sees you, she's peeling back a new layer. When the mystery dies, the attraction fades fast. Most guys kill the mystery without even knowing it. They overshare. They reveal every thought, every feeling, and every detail about their life within the first few weeks. Why? Because they think transparency builds connection. And yes, honesty is good, but mystery isn't about hiding, it's about pacing. The truth is, women want to feel like they're still discovering you. They want to wonder what's on your mind, what drives you, what your world is like when they're not around. If she feels like she's already seen the whole movie in the first 10 minutes, there's nothing left to explore. She loses the emotional tension that kept her intrigued. It's not about being vague or evasive. It's about being a man who doesn't need to explain himself all the time. A man who can say less and mean more. A man who can sit in silence without needing to fill it. That silence, that space. That's where mystery lives. Mystery also comes from how you live your life. Do you have passions outside of her? Do you disappear into your craft, your mission, your world, and then come back with new energy? Or are you always available, always texting, always checking in? The guy who's always there becomes predictable, and predictability breeds boredom. Now let's clear something up. Mystery doesn't mean being confusing or distant on purpose. It means having depth, layers she hasn't touched yet, a sense of grounded independence that says, there's more to me than this moment, and you're welcome to discover it slowly. This is especially important early on. When you rush to lock her in, you often flood her with too much emotional exposure. You hand her everything up front, your routines, your beliefs, your intentions. But real chemistry needs pacing. The tension of not knowing everything is part of what keeps her coming back. So how do you reintroduce mystery if you've already lost it? Start pulling your focus back to yourself. Reconnect with the things you were doing before she showed up. Stop feeling the need to update her on everything. Speak with purpose, not just to fill silence, and give her the space to wonder about you again. Remember, you're not trying to impress her. You're trying to engage her, and engagement thrives on curiosity. If she's not curious, she's not invested. The spark doesn't die because of lack of effort. It dies because the emotional landscape becomes flat. 7. She's pulling back to see what you'll do. Here's the part most men don't see coming. Sometimes, when a woman pulls away, she's not walking out. She's watching. She's not disappearing forever. She's pausing. She's stepping back to see what kind of man she's really dealing with. Not the man you are when things are easy, but the man you are when the dynamic shifts. And here's the hard truth. How you respond when she creates distance reveals everything about your strength, confidence, and emotional maturity. Now let's be clear. She may not be doing this consciously. She's not thinking, let me pull away and test this guy. But on a deep, instinctive level, her feminine energy is wired to respond to masculine leadership and stability. The moment she senses that things are getting emotionally heavy or overly predictable, she steps back, not to punish you, but to see what happens next. And what most guys do next? They crumble, they overthink, over-message, overcompensate. They start asking, is everything okay? They seek reassurance. They adjust their energy to try to re-attract her, ironically doing the exact things that push her further away. But here's what the high-value man does instead. He stays calm. He stays present. He doesn't chase. He doesn't get cold either. He simply holds his frame. Because he knows something most men don't. If you keep showing up like your entire emotional state depends on her attention, she will never trust your strength. She needs to know that you don't fall apart when things get quiet. That your self-worth doesn't waver when she pulls back. That you're not just confident when she's giving you validation, but when she's giving you silence too. You see, it's not about punishing her or playing power games. It's about communicating without saying a word that you are not emotionally dependent. You have a life. You have direction. You're not rattled by the moment. And here's what often happens. Once she sees that you haven't reacted with fear, she starts to trust you more. You showed her that you're not needy, not reactive, not emotionally unstable. That's rare, that's powerful, that's unforgettable. But even if she doesn't come back, you win. Why? Because you didn't fold. You stayed solid. And that's the kind of inner strength that builds lasting confidence. Not just in dating, but in life. So, if a woman is pulling away and you're tempted to fix it, stop, breathe, hold steady. She might not be pulling away to end things. She might be pulling away to finally see who you really are. And if you've been following everything we've covered so far, she'll find a man who doesn't flinch. And that's the kind of man she never forgets. Here's the brutal truth, brother. A woman pulling away doesn't always mean it's over, but how you respond often decides whether it will be. Most men chase, panic, or start over-analyzing the situation, but high-value men, they observe, they stay calm, and they don't beg for attention. They didn't need in the first place. Women don't forget the man who stays composed when things shift. They don't forget the man who doesn't crumble when energy changes. Why? Because stability in the storm is rare, and that's what makes a man unforgettable. You don't need to force attraction. You don't need to convince her to stay. You just need to be the kind of man who's solid, with or without her. That's what she's watching for. That's what triggers deep, lasting respect. And that's what separates you from every other guy who loses himself the second she steps back. Let me leave you with this. A woman may pull away to test your strength, but if you lose it, you confirm her fears. Hold your frame, and you show her what real masculinity looks like. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been in this situation before? Did you chase, or did you hold your ground? Drop your story in the comments. I read them all, and I'll reply too. We're building a space where men grow stronger, together. If this hit home for you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with a man who needs to hear it. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and remember, she never forgets the man who didn't flinch.